All right, and we're here, and we're live
Yo.
after a week off. We're
What's up?
back.
Yeah, we were pretty inconsistent over the past 3 weeks. I think we were off, on, and then off, right?
I was on vacation.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. We all need vacation sometimes.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, we're back. And this week we have Brutu with us. And I don't think I ever had the chance to sit down and talk to you. And that's one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on the show, because I never really had a chance to get to know you.
Right.
And I think we've been affiliated for quite a while, but I don't think we have ever like sat down and had a conversation. And I can't remember if it was like a month and a half ago or like 2 months ago, where you were streaming one day and you kind of talked about your past life, your childhood.
Right. Right.
But I don't want to jump into that quite yet. I kind of want to talk about your community first, because I think your community is fucking great.
I was going to say, hell of a community. I mean,
Yeah, one
you're
hell of a
what
community.
pushed me over the finish line to affiliate.
Yeah.
I'll still remember that stream because next thing I know, there was like 30 people just jumped in. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Color Proof that pointed you out.
Yeah,
Yep.
I recall
So-
that day.
So what got you into that? Like what like encouraged you one day to be like, I'm going to create a community that helps people get to affiliate?
Well, I was sitting with my head moderator, which people would know as Dad Gaming or Lumen Dice, and we were talking about different ways to. Obviously, the first conversation always starts with how do you get your name out there more, right?
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well, we can go the conventional route of, push the emptiness of Twitter when you have no followers, or, the struggles of YouTube when you have no subscribers. And it's like, okay, well, let's just hang out with people and hang out in their chats and stuff, And I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to, start with small streamers. Like, it has to be somebody that's around the same level that I am, not too high, not too low kind of thing. At the time, I think I was averaging like 4 viewers. And I was like, okay, well, I'm affiliated. I have my friends help me. Let's see if I can get my friends on board to help out these other people. So it started off with maybe a group of 5 of us, 5 or so. And then it grew into something crazy for a while there. That was, I mean, it was pretty interesting to see the look on people's faces whenever, they're used to having 0, 1 views, 2 views, maybe here and there. And then all of a sudden they get bombed with 30, 40 people. Just the look on their face. It's like, okay, this is what I want to do. I don't
Right.
care about anything else. This is what I want to do. I want to help
Right.
out these guys to get them by the struggles that I was already in.
Sure.
Because nobody wants to stream to 0 or 1 viewer for 6, 7 months on the
Right.
struggle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Without any kind of interaction or anything like that, and then they just kind of give up on their dream after a while, and just it's not fun,
Right. So
I
I wanted
hated that.
yeah. So I wanted to dig a little deeper.
Right.
So this part of your mentality where you wanted to help people, where did that come from? Where do you think that came from?
To be completely honest with you, the I would say that it had to came from my mom more than anything.
Sure.
She's always been the one that's like, when I was a kid, it was like, okay, I had friends that were having, rough times here and there and would always be in and out of trouble, but they were good friends, like good people.
Right.
And, a lot of my friends went through a lot of hard times. And it's like, okay, well, my mom's saying was, I would much rather them be here so I know where they're at and I
Right.
know what they're doing. I can keep an eye on them. Plus, they're out of trouble. What's the worst that can happen? You guys are up all night playing Diablo, which that most of the time that's what it was. So,
Right.
but yeah, it was, she's always done that. Everybody that knows my mom knows that she gives constantly.
Sure.
She's that mom that's like, hey, I'm going to cook for a small army and then just call your friends. Or, hey, I just made 13 cakes. Tell your friends to come over and grab some cake.
Right. Right.
It
So you
seems
kind of
like-
get.
yeah.
Go
I was
ahead,
just
John.
saying, it seems a bit of that mentality of like it takes a village. Kind of
Right.
like, your mom, it seems like she took on like that responsibility of like, helping all the kids. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, she was always that way, and it's like, we always had the saying that was weird in my household was like, okay, we have 3 kids, but me, my brother, and my sister, and we all grew up the same exact way. We all 3 of us turned out completely different.
Really?
It is so awkward to know,
Really?
like, oh yeah, if you've ever met my brother and my sister, we are so far apart.
Do you
But
mind if I ask how so?
uh, my sister has what I like to call daddy issues.
Right.
um, it's she had, my brother's younger. Um, he's 25 now. I'm 32, which I just remembered today, which is weird. But yeah, it's my younger brother. He grew up. It was 2 different dads, right? Like my brother is my half brother. My sister is my full sister, and my sister's older. She remembers my dad before he left the picture, and I was around the age where it's like, okay, I can forget about this, and then not have to worry about it. Plus, I honestly think that girls have a harder time anyway. I mean, from what I've seen, at least, it seems like they have a way harder time.
Sure.
But yeah, we're they turn to different means of trying to cope with depression and all of their problems that they had, and they split into different routes. And yeah, I can't be any more different from them. But the weird part about it is that same mindset of I want to help people when I get the chance to is still there in both of them. But you don't see it as often because they're just so far gone sometimes. It's crazy.
So it seems like you came out the other side better than your siblings. Is kind of what it sounds like.
Oh yeah. It's I chalk it up to a mentality thing, and a lot of it is like I find myself being obsessed with things, and whether it's playing video games or back when I was a kid, it was playing basketball constantly. And that's what I wanted to do. And I would be at the park playing basketball from noon till the sun went down. That's all I wanted to do. And that obsession is like, okay, well, if I'm at the park playing basketball, mom's just going to be like, oh yeah, let him go. He's gone all day. It's fine. I know what he's doing. He's playing basketball. That's, and it was like, okay, well, if he's doing that, I know he's not doing the other things,
Right.
that's probably the biggest thing.
Right. I feel like trauma can either make you or break you.
Oh, that is 100% true.
And it's fascinating how you can have, and whenever I have a client that's like coming to me for trauma therapy, I always explain this to them too, but you kind of just highlighted it, Brutu, in your own example of like, so like, how you can have like a whole squad or platoon go to war and not everyone coming back has PTSD or effects from the trauma.
Right.
So it's like everyone has this like unique level of resiliency to be able to like come out on top or not. And it's just interesting how you can have people, even like in your example, all same, genetics, like you guys are, related, similar genetics, and different abilities of resiliency. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it is, the way that I looked at it when I was a kid, it's like, okay, I know, from my stepdad and my dad, I knew what kind of person, what not to be. And that kind of drove me to be like, I need to be the exact opposite of that, because I don't like the way that person made the person closest to me feel. And I absolutely hated that. Like, I can't stand to see anybody close to me upset about anything. It's always like, and after a while, you kind of get a sense of it. Like, hey, I know I could tell by the sound of your voice you're having a rough day. Like, just let's turn off everything, no stream, no nothing. Let's just play games today. Let's just hang out.
Right.
That's where it came from.
Have you ever done a Myers-Briggs test?
No, I don't even know what that is.
A Myers-Briggs, I know there's like there's mock Myers-Briggs that you can do online. It kind of tells you your personality type. Like, have you heard of like INFJ, ENFP or something like that? Like,
I have
extroverted or introverted. Okay, I was just curious because there's, and I'm not sure how accurate this is, Don, but I've read some articles where a certain personality traits will be more susceptible to like higher levels of empathy than others. Like,
I could see that. I think the verdict is not out yet as far as like the validity of like the Myers-Briggs personality big five factor.
There's more bullshit articles. Is that what you're telling me?
It's possible. I mean, it's possible.
More bullshit articles?
It's possible. I mean, I've taken it. I had to do it in grad school, so I've taken it and stuff. But like, it's on the theory that like everyone's personality is comprised of these big five. They call it the five factors, and I don't remember them all. But it's like introverted versus extroverted, neuroticism versus whatever the opposite. There's like 5 different ones. I don't remember them all, if I'm being honest with you. If I really cared, I could go find my results and read it off to you, but I don't really give a shit enough.
The weird part about it is, don't get me wrong, I had some I still have rough problems with just the stupidest of things. It's like, I don't know why that bothers me, but it does.
Right.
You know, and anxiety more than anything. It's like, okay, I hate answering my phone. I don't know why. I just hate it. Right. I hate talking on the phone. I can't stand it. My girlfriend calls everybody. I can't do it, you know, and I don't know why, but I have this weird obsession with, I don't like people knocking on my door.
Sure.
Like I'm a completely outward social person. I'll order pizza and they'll like Domino's would be like, oh, it's out for delivery. And I'll stand at the door and wait. Like I know it takes that guy 15, 20 minutes to get here, but I'll stand at the door for 20 minutes and wait for him. Because I'm like, I don't want to miss it. I don't want him to knock on the door. It's just something about it. It's just weird.
Right. I don't like people knocking on my door either because there's no reason to anymore. There's no reason to.
Right.
Let me know if you're coming over. Like, yeah, we don't do any,
we have cell phones now.
Yeah.
Like, you can give me a heads up before you come over. So I'm expecting you, or I could just meet you outside. The one thing that I can't stand is texting. I hate texting. I have to call people because I don't have the patience to sit there on my phone and try to type everything out. Like, I want to get the message off, the message off immediately. Like, I want to call you and talk to you so we can have a conversation, not just through text. But everybody resorts to text.
Could be terrible.
Exactly, and a lot of misunderstandings happen.
You never know what that person's actually saying.
Exactly. So that's why I can't stand texting, because there's always some kind of like miscommunication that happens. It's like no, and then I have to fucking text some more. You know what I mean? Then I have to explain myself, like what I meant by that, and it's just can I just like talk to you? You know, but.
Yeah, the Sidian in the chat, there's a lot of times whenever we'll text back and forth and he'll just go off the wall with something I said. I'm like, how did you take that way? I don't understand how you went that far left on that one.
Right. So where does that come from again, Don?
What is what?
Like when people misconstrue what you said, when they think that kind of on a more negative spectrum of things.
I mean, they may have their own, like, I mean, it could be projection. So, like, they could, like, have their own thoughts negatively about themselves and they're projecting it onto you. So that when a text message is sometimes you can read into it. So they may be more inclined to view it in a negative manner.
Right.
Maybe is one explanation I just pulled out of my butt.
Yeah.
It sounds right. If I say it with confidence, you all will believe it. So we're gonna go with that.
The weird thing is, like, I don't get me wrong, I have my pet peeves about certain things. They just drive me crazy. Like a lot of people, the biggest problem that I have with other people, it's like they're so quick to judge.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, don't make assumptions if you don't know me.
Right.
You know, because people tend to take one glance at me in person and just say, okay, that guy is an asshole. And I'm like, well, I don't. Well, what did I even do to even get that far? Like, okay, I look like an asshole. Like, okay, I get it, but you don't know me, man. Like, don't make assumptions.
Yeah, and social media is such a platform for that, because you don't like, you're not interacting with anybody. You're interacting with an icon or an avatar.
Right.
And it's just like you're looking at this icon and then you're seeing like this text. There's no context behind it. There's no tone. You can't, like, you don't know where the person is coming from, and then you read it the way you want to read it. And of course, every time it's going to come out like you're some kind of raging dick, unless you put like a LMAO at the end or LOL at the end. It's just like,
everything has to have LOL at the end, or they think
in order to,
asshole.
So it's like, I don't know. When Don and I worked at the RTC, we were just kind of like at residential treatment center. We were always, I mean, we kind of have a firm belief that social media is like the root of evil.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
You know, and that's just, so it's like when you go on social media, just you got to be really mindful when you go on things like that. Like, you can't take anything personal, and you have to understand, like, social media is almost like a platform to show off, and that's essentially like all it is.
Yeah, I know so many people in real life that like I like went to college with, and then I see like what they portray on social media, and I was like, I know this shit ain't true. Like I know this is not the life you're living. Like I know you, and this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
Which could be a powerful thing for good or bad. I guess that ability to kind of like create who you want to be.
Yeah. So it's rough, especially for kids, you know, when they're not fully mentally developed and, you know, they're soaking all this stuff in. It's just like, they don't understand the same things we do. They don't think like an adult does, where it's just like, oh, that's, you know, they're just showboating. Like, they don't understand that. A lot of kids will think that that's real life. That's just how their life is. They don't see the hardships behind all of it.
Yeah. There's a lot of studies out now that I listen to podcasts every day while I'm at work. And one of the ones I listen to all the time is the Joe Rogan podcast. I know a lot of people hate it.
I love Joe Rogan, man.
Too, actually,
right? And I remember them always talking about how, you know, teen suicide has skyrocketed since social media took off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, between Twitter, Facebook. I mean, people you don't even know can slam, you know, really hurtful words towards a 13-year-old girl, and all of a sudden she hates herself.
Right.
You know,
between 1999 and 2018, suicide has increased by 35%.
That's not surprising at all.
It's the leading cause of death for people under like 25, right? In America, at least. I mean, maybe I just made that up, but that sounds right to me.
Yeah,
I think I saw that.
It's based off of age group.
Yeah.
And then we get into the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing on through Twitch, because the numbers are like really, really shocking, and I can pull them up real quick if you're interested in hearing them.
I actually,
absolutely,
I have it pulled up here. So according to the CDC, in 2018, suicide was the 10th leading cause of death overall in the U.S. 48,000 people. It was the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 and 34. And the fourth leading cause of death among individuals 35 to 54. There were more than 2.5 times as many suicides as there were homicides. So 48,000 suicides in 2018 versus 18,000 homicides.
Right. And then you look at Twitch's numbers. Twitch had roughly 15 million users with a demographic ranging from 16 to 64 years old. Viewers from the ages of 16 to 24 account for 41% of Twitch's viewer base. Ages 25 to 34 account for 32%. 35 to 44 account for 17%. So Twitch's viewer base falls right slap dab in the middle of that statistic.
Well, and we've seen that with streamers in the past year, right? I mean, how many big names? I mean, oh
my God, a lot.
Yeah. And those are content creators, you know. Those are like, you know, big names. Those are one in many, you know, and so many of them have left way too soon. So can you imagine the actual amount of, like, in our Twitch community, how many people are succeeding in doing what they do? Just
in chat, there's some, I'm not going to say names, but there's people speaking up that they've had experiences, you know, whether it was ideation or attempts. I mean, so it definitely, it's a real human problem.
All the people in the chat, they're the ones that are closest to me. And there's a reason for that.
Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's rough, man.
Yeah. And that breaks breaks my heart, you know.
Yeah.
I get emotional every time I think about that. So I'm gonna so so
it's tough, man.
Tough. No. So the
Oh, there he went.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's while he figures out the technical difficulty, I mean, it definitely, it's a real human issue that affects people of all walks. I mean, it's rich to poor, black, white, Asian, whoever you are. It affects everyone. Like, it doesn't have any bounds.
The weird thing is, and it's not something I really put out there a lot. I mean, a lot of it is like, hey, try to stay a staple for, you know, somebody your friends can come to all the time. And it's like, you got to be that guy, you know, that's like, okay, I know I can talk to him at any time. And I've not even just my real friends, but the people that I've met through what, you know, my Discord has done, my community's done with, you know,
I'm good. I'm good.
That reached out. It's, the hardest part about it is that most people don't know is that I would be lying if I said I didn't think about it regularly. Right. You know what I mean? Like, the idea of like you feel like you carry so much weight on your shoulders all the time, and it's like I would do anything to have this weight gone. But the difference is, like, I know that weight is, hey, that's practically my brother AJ, that's Justin, that's, you know, my girlfriend, my mom having a hard time, that's my brother, my sister. I can't. That weight is there for a reason, and I'm damn sure strong enough to fucking carry it, and that's not going to stop. You know what I mean? You can't just throw in the towel. It's just not something you want to do. You know? I mean, I think it's I don't know if it's just my mindset, but I think it's a perfectly reasonable thing for anybody, no matter your mental health at any time. At some point in time, every person on this planet has thought about suicide at some point. I honestly don't think there's a single person that hasn't. It's just the simple fact of, are you gonna go farther with that, or are you gonna go the opposite way and go away from it? And that's that goes back to what I've learned. Like, hey, I know what not to do. I'm gonna go the other way.
And there's a spectrum of like suicidality, right? Like there's a spectrum from like passive thoughts of like, you know, oh, I wish I was dead, like this sucks, life's hard, working up to like, you know, starting to come up with plans. I mean, so there's like a whole spectrum. So I can see what you're saying, and I don't know the numbers, but that very well could be true, that like at some point in someone's life, in everyone's life, they've hit a wall and they've had that moment of like, oh shit, you know. I mean, it's possible.
Right.
It's definitely possible.
Oh man, that's always a rough thing to talk about.
I'm used to it, man. I do this every day.
I know, and it's like
so I'm used to it.
And it's like for the 2 years that I've worked at the RTC, and it's just like not one time have I ever like lost my shit.
Yeah.
You know, there are times where I've come close, like I've gone home and I've lost my shit before, but when I'm at work and I'm actually like doing whatever it is that I'm doing on a daily basis, and I'm interacting with these kids every day, it's just like it doesn't affect me. I think just something in my brain just kind of switches on and off. It's like I hold everything in, and then when I get home, there are some days where it's a lot rougher than others. But I mean, there's only maybe like once or twice where I've lost my shit when I got home, and I was talking to my family about it, and I just see all the cute little faces when I go to work, you know. And it's just like you got to keep it together, you know. So,
I'm not gonna lie, I've been in session and had to do the no cry trick before.
Yeah.
There's a little trick for anyone curious, and it works for me. It doesn't work for everyone, it works for me. But like if you like feel that urge to cry and you don't want to, if you squeeze like your right hand and curl the toes under on your left foot, you can't cry.
Right. Is it a coordination thing because you have to focus? Is it because it redirects your focus? Is that why?
I think so. Yeah.
I think I'm too stupid for that.
You can't rub your head and pat your belly at the same time. It's the same idea, right?
Stomach, right?
It works for me though. It definitely works for me.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I could play the shit out of Call of Duty, but I can't do that.
You are not late at all, Jeremy. Welcome.
Yeah, you're not late at all. Welcome everyone. Oh, dude, we didn't even address everyone.
We haven't yet. We just jumped right in. Like
I know, we just jumped right in. There's just so much to talk about. But yeah.
But I guess real briefly, for anyone who's new, we do this weekly. We try to always have guests. If you have any questions for Brew2 or Color Proof or myself, you can just put them in the chat, and we'll try to read them and answer them.
Right. So tonight's topic. Oh no, go ahead.
The nice part about it is, like, I know if you look at my core group of friends, there's all of them. We all have something wrong with us. You know, and I think like it's a natural thing, especially in today's day and age, for, you know, it always comes back to, hey, what's your thing? Like, what's wrong with you? Right. You know, but I like Sidian in chat, we've been friends for going on 27 years.
Wow.
Yowza.
And Angel of Wrath, his younger brother, I've known him since he was in diapers.
Right.
You know,
nice.
And, you know, Gajira, he's the old man of the group. Right. And I've known him since, I would say I was probably 11. I'm 32 now. I've known him for a long time. It's like we keep that group of friends. It's like, okay, the second that one of us starts to fall off, the other ones are there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you can kind of tell. And I know, like, I don't let it show a whole lot between, you know, my girlfriend or, you know, Justin or anybody like that. But the second that it's like, okay, that person knows that there's something wrong with me, the second I say hi to them, that's Sidian, guaranteed. Right. And he knows right off the rip. He's like, okay, we need to talk. There's something wrong with you. Yeah, okay, you got it. You know, right. That's what's awesome about having, you know, the friends that I have. And then, like I said, when we started this this whole community to try to help people out. That's kind of the idea that we had.
Right. So, I mean, would you define it as there's something wrong with you, or do you think you're just someone who's gone through a lot in life and that's perfectly normal?
I wouldn't define it as if there's something wrong with me. Don't get me wrong, there are things wrong with me. But I mean, I don't think that, like, especially now, like I said, in today's day and age, I don't think that anybody's going to make it through unscathed, no matter
Right.
what you do.
Right.
And it's what you do after that defines the type of person that you are.
Sure.
You know, and like I said, my biggest pet peeve is people saying that I'm a certain way when I'm not. It's like,
Right.
okay, dude, like you don't know me. Like,
Right.
you know, that's the problem that I have. You know, I've been made out to be an asshole multiple times.
Right.
You know, by people that I thought that I knew very well, and it's like, man. But no, I don't think that there's anything wrong with me. It's more like life experiences and knowing when to shift directions.
Right.
You know, go the opposite way of what you've seen, what you've been through, and figure out how can I get as far away from that as possible.
Sure. So I guess I should rephrase. I don't mean anything if there's anything wrong with you in particular, but if some of the struggles that you've gone through and some of the things that you experienced, do you just as opinion wise, do you think that defines who you are?
Yes, absolutely.
You think it defines you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it's important to also note that, like, everyone who undergoes trauma of some sort and has it impact them may not reach levels of, like, psychopathology, like having a diagnosis based on the trauma. I just want to make that kind of clear too.
Right.
Like, you can go through, like, horrible shit in life and have it still affect, like, you know, your emotional well-being, but, like, you may not meet criteria for, like, an acute stress disorder or a post-traumatic stress disorder, something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I know that there's. I think very easily at some point it was like it was a very conscious decision at a very young age. It was like, okay, right now there's a fork in the road, and it's like if I go to this path, it's going to be bad. It's going to be very bad. And if I go to this path, I could, you know, branch out and do other things and help people that might have gone the other way and try to lead them back to the, you know, to what's actually what they should be, how they should be, you know, as a normal person. Like, everybody's normal.
Right.
You know?
Right. So tonight's topic is how your past shaped you. And I know we're like 28 minutes in and we haven't really touched base, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I remember you talking about your childhood
Right.
a couple months ago on one of your streams I tuned into. And
Yes.
I think this was the same day when we heard about Wreckful.
Yes.
And I wasn't a huge fan of Wreckful, but I did watch a lot of his videos.
Yeah.
And I did see him in person at TwitchCon a couple of years ago. And it just kind of like hit home. And I don't know, like when I heard the news about him, it affected me in a really different way. Because I've actually had friends who have succeeded more than I care to admit. But for some reason, his passing affected me a little differently than the other ones that I've heard of, and I'm not sure what it was. But that gave me a lot of encouragement to do things within the community, Twitch community. So I wanted to ask you about, like, you know, when you were young, what kind of shit did you experience when you were young, and how did that affect you throughout your life?
Well, very, very young, between my dad being a drug addict and alcoholic and very abusive towards my mother, it was like, okay, there's certain things that you can't unsee. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, you know, when you see your father literally smash your mom's head off of a car so he can steal it and go sell it for drug money.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like, you know, at a very young age, you don't forget that. You don't.
Right.
And you know, you draw conclusions and things like that. I know, he's my dad. Don't get me wrong, but dude, that guy, it's insane. Like, I have nothing but bad memories of him, and you know, especially my stepdad, my brother's father, was the same exact way. And at the same time, it's like, I know what type of person my mom is, and I know she wanted well for me and my sister and my brother. And she's always the type of person that says, hey, you do what you have to do. Like, my stepdad made good money working construction, and, we would get by, but a lot of it was like, hey, try to get away from the house as much as possible, build friendships, whatever. A lot of that is like, hey, I don't want you home because I don't want you to see him being the way he is. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Trying to protect you from
right
reality. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that came out after my mom and him split, my stepdad split. And it's like, man, I had no idea. I knew, I've seen things from him that I didn't want to see. And it's like, man, you can't, whenever you go through trauma, like I said, between my mom and my dad, and him being drunk, threatening to knock down my grandma's door and saying, I need to take the kids. I want to see them. You can't stop me from seeing them. It's like, I saw all that bad stuff, and it's like, okay, well, through the child's eyes, okay, what do you see there that's good? Because you always see the good and the bad. It's like, okay, I see my mom trying to protect me, right? And then I saw my uncles, my Uncle Brian, my Uncle Ralph. Both of them would never let anything happen to me. I know that, and then I like clung to them like they were my father figures. And I literally grew up almost identical to my uncles, and they practically raised me, outside of, my mom, but my uncles raised me to be a decent person. You know what I mean? Because they weren't into anything like drugs or alcohol or anything like that. It was more like, hey, I need you to sit down and read this Dungeons and Dragons book cover to cover. And the day that you can do that, you can play with us. I swear to God, that book took me like 2 years to read. But yeah, I got it done, and that's what I wanted to do. I was like, man, I love hanging out with them, playing games, and, playing D&D, playing Mario Kart, you get into PC gaming. That's where all this stuff came from,
Right. If your uncles weren't there, do you think your upbringing might have been different?
I don't think I'd be here at all.
Right.
I really don't.
Right.
The when I was younger, I remember getting the phone call that my Uncle Ralph was in an accident, and he was in a 4-wheeler accident with him and his fiance at the time. He was 19, and they got the phone call, said, okay, well, we're taking him to the hospital. They had an accident on the 4-wheeler, and it doesn't look like he can feel his legs. And it's like, oh, okay. So this is, this starts this path. And, it turns out now, all these years later, he's still paralyzed from the chest down. And it's like, at that point, I had that guy that I knew was always going to be home. No matter what, he was always going to be home. He was always going to be playing EverQuest or doing something stupid, Right. And it's like, I had that guy that I can go to and talk to about anything, and then, my Uncle Brian would be there constantly playing games with him. And it's like, yeah, I literally don't think I would be here if it wasn't for them. I think I would have definitely went the other way.
All right. So
yeah,
even
it's weird.
So although your uncles were not your father, did they play like a father role in your life?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had one uncle that was kind of strict, but funny as hell, and loved to hang out with me and my brother and play games and stuff. He had his own life, obviously, outside of that. But my Uncle Ralph that was paralyzed, he was the one that was like the kind-hearted person that, does no wrong and is always there for you no matter what.
Right.
And it was rough. Like, I saw different sides of him back and forth, obviously being paralyzed. He didn't want to leave the house because he constantly felt like people were looking at him. Even though, like, me being, 10, 11 years old, be like, hey, Ralph, you want to come outside and hang out for a little while? Like, we're just going to be playing basketball in the alley. He's like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just staying here. I didn't understand at the time, but as I grew up, it was like, okay, now I understand why he didn't want to go anywhere. He constantly felt like people were like judging him or looking at him. Because where I'm from in Ohio, it's very rare that you would see somebody just in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're such a small town. I I think I know 2 people in a wheelchair here since, I was a kid. Him and one of my buddies' dads was paralyzed. That was the only 2.
Right. So as you were growing up, did you have any anger issues or anything like that as you were growing up?
I would say no. I didn't necessarily have anger issues. It was more, I was real quick to break, like emotionally. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like the second that I saw it didn't even necessarily have to be me, but it's like, okay, I know, mom's going through some stuff, or, my sister being older, I saw her go through a lot of stuff. And it's like, the second that they start breaking, I break. And it's like, okay, I don't want to do anything with my life, but be here for you right now to make sure that you're fine.
Sure.
Like, I was a very, very emotional kid, but anger was never really the thing.
Right.
But,
So,
like I said, people look at me and say, that guy has a short fuse.
How do you know
That's
people
actually
say
not
that?
true at all. They say it to me directly.
Okay. Okay. Maybe
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
they do think that.
Oh, yeah.
So were you always like pretty? I don't want to say you're passive now, but would you define yourself as pretty passive at the time?
Honestly, no. Passive isn't really a thing that I've ever really had. I've never really been passive towards anything. It's more like, okay, you're either all in on something or you're not at all. You know what I mean? And when it came down to, confrontation or whatever, it's like, okay, I know that typically it wasn't me that was in the confrontation. It was always one of my friends was in the confrontation or whatever. It's like, okay, in my mind, it's like, okay, you go through within 5 seconds. It's like, okay, can he handle this? No. Can he, what is this outcome going to look like? Probably not good. So it's like, all right, I'd rather take this instead of him. You know what I mean? I would step forward and just say, hey, knock your shit off, dude. Like, not a good idea. Like you're messing with the wrong people here. I wouldn't say that I avidly go out and look for confrontation, but the second that it comes up, I'm always the one to step forward and say, that's not a good idea.
Right. Would you say you changed much from when you were younger to who you are now?
I mean, over the years, obviously everybody learns things,
Sure.
And growth is part of life no matter what you do. Honestly, I would say no. I'm pretty much the same exact way that I was when I was 10. I've avidly tried to change it. It just doesn't work. I don't feel right if I'm not like helping people or making sure, the ones close to me are okay. Whether or not it's a phone call, text message, playing games with them, stopping into somebody's stream that I've met that I know has a problem. And it's just saying hi, you know what I mean? Or commenting on a YouTube video from somebody that I found, through my community that makes YouTube videos. It's like, okay, I just want to make sure that they're okay, And I have my set thing that I do every morning. It's like, okay, I'll wake up at, 4:00 in the morning, get ready for work, jump on the Discord, say good morning, get to work, see if anybody answered, and then go into work and check Discord throughout the day to make sure, everything's working fine and, everybody's okay. And then the second that I get off work, I'm talking to either my mom or, AJ, Justin, whatever. I literally do the same thing every day. There's not a single day that I don't talk to at least one person that I'm close to. That's the same way that I've been since I was a kid. I don't think that not much has changed at all, to be honest, other than life.
Is that for you or for them, do you think?
What do you mean?
The checking in, like how you just said, like every day you make sure that you're checking in that people are okay, you stop by their streams. Like, do you do that for you or is that like for them?
Honestly, both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I feel weird when I don't, like if I don't talk to somebody for a while, it's like, okay, I got to make sure, that I reach out to them, or, whether it's, I don't have to talk to them directly. Like I want to make sure that they're okay. You know what I mean? Like if I see like a message on Twitter or something in the Discord or somebody stops into the stream, things like that, it's like, okay, I know that they're fine. We're just going to let that go. Like that honestly crosses my mind every single time somebody talks that I've met before. Which is, it's weird. Like I get this people in my chat that would say, they would follow me from a year ago and they would come back and I'd say, oh yeah, I remember when you followed me. I was playing, Apex, or I was playing, sadly Fortnite then, or something like that. You know what I mean? They're like, oh my God, you remember me from that? I'm like, yeah, I don't forget many people. I see the name and I photographic memory, call it what you want to. I know who you are,
All right.
Sounds like you place a strong value on relationships.
Oh, I definitely do.
Yeah.
The relationships that I have, I'd never want to go anywhere. That's my honest opinion. I don't want them to go anywhere, and I'm completely okay with letting other people in. To make sure that, whether I understand that some people or yeah, it's emotionally, mentally, physically exhausting. Yes, it is.
I was about to say, if you saw that question, I was going to ask you that, but yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Because generally you kind of see the opposite. Generally, you see a lot of people kind of closed in. They're too scared to let anybody in. Right. But you seem to be the complete opposite. Like you want to build those relationships, and in comparison to how everybody else wants to just kind of like shut everybody out because they're afraid of getting hurt.
Well, and that's a real thing. It's called compassion or like empathy fatigue, compassion fatigue. Like therapists have to watch out for that all the time because after a while, it's like, man, I can only take so much more of like
Yeah.
So
it's draining sometimes, but a lot of times it's a lot of people don't realize it, but just saying hi to somebody can really change their day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I could send out one text message and then, and that's it. Like just one text and we have a small conversation, or, if you don't answer me, you better believe I'm going to call you. Make sure that, you're good or whatever. All it takes is just a small conversation. That's all it takes.
Being nice costs $0.
Exactly.
It doesn't cost anything to be nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't follow that. And that's the thing that really that gets to me, man, because there's a lot of people that, they take a lot of things for granted. It's like you don't realize the impact you can have on somebody's life just by waving at them.
Right.
And
I feel like I've come to peace with that a long time ago because, there's a point in time where, I was proactively like very friendly to everybody, where I tried to like, turn over a new leaf and stuff like that. And then I realized like I'm just it's just not reciprocal. Like I don't get the same back. And one of the things that I had to do, and this was really hard for me to do, was understand that other people have their own struggles that they're going through.
Exactly.
So sometimes it's like when I encounter someone, when I come across someone, even if it's just a friend or a complete stranger, and they're just completely obnoxious towards me, just completely unnecessary. It's just like in my head, I don't say it to them. In my head, it's just kind of like, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. And if you are having a bad day, I hope your day gets better. Or if you're struggling with anything, I hope you figure out what it is I hope you figure out what you're struggling with,
Right.
So it's really hard. It's really difficult to get over something like that. But that's how I got over it. And so it's typically easy for me to, when I meet new people and, they're just not as chipper or happy as I expect them to be, or not as polite as I expect them to be. That's just something that I keep in my head. We all come from different walks of life,
Especially with the ones that are closest to you. It's like, okay, I don't know how far to push into this, and I don't know when to leave you alone.
Right.
You know what I mean? But when you've been friends with somebody for 20 plus years, it's like you kind of get the idea after a while.
Yeah.
It's like Sidian knows when to like, hey, let him go do his thing. He'll get it out. Like talk about my problems that I have. If stress in making sure everybody else is okay, that does get to you after a while, and it gets mentally and physically exhausting, because like I said, when I wake up at 4 a.m., I go to work and oftentimes I won't get home till 5 p.m. And then it's like, okay, shower, eat, stream, and then stop my stream between 9 and 10, go to bed, rinse and repeat. And then just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Damn, dude, you don't sleep, do you?
No, I don't. And then you try to maintain friendships. I like to get good naps in on my days off.
All right.
I'm sure you probably have to. You're in constant sleep deprivation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But absolutely, you should always push the kindness and give up on expecting reciprocation. And it's. I guess I should emphasize that I haven't stopped being friendly or kind to people. I just stopped expecting the reciprocation, like you mentioned. But yeah, we should do those things because it's not enough of that.
Right.
And
Life fits differently to all people.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
You
think
never know.
right. And I don't think there is enough empathy. But it's just like I can't blame everyone. Life is really hard right now, and life's been hard for a long time. And I completely understand that. And so I'm not expecting everybody. It's fine to be mad. It's fine to have your shitty days. You're just human. So I'm not gonna, and I think it's important that we all realize that we shouldn't pass judgment on others because of the way they look or because of the way they interacted with you for that one brief moment. You never know what it is that they're going through, right?
Yeah,
So,
the weird part about it is with the not looking like one another. My brother, my half brother is half black. He's white and black.
sure.
So my stepdad is black. You don't understand how much shit that I heard growing up about my mom, my brother, my family. It's like, dude, you got to be kidding me. Like, first of all, you don't know any of us,
Right.
but you want to draw a conclusion. And it's like, holy shit. I don't
Right.
understand how somebody could be so dumb to just look at somebody and judge them instantly and not realize that's a person and they have a life too.
Right.
Why would you negatively affect somebody's life on purpose for your own personal gain?
Sure.
What are you getting out of that?
Yeah. We dehumanize each other a lot these days.
Oh, yeah.
But even back then, I mean, and this is not something I really want to get into too much, but I mean, people of color had legitimate worries.
Right.
That back, in the late 80s, early 90s, when we were growing up. I know I'm just a couple years older than you, but
Right.
I mean, we experienced firsthand, how disgusting it can be, how rough
Right.
it can be.
Yeah, it's weird, but my mom always called I'm very, very similar to my mother. My sister is very similar to my father, unfortunately. And my brother was headed in a really, really bad path. And they called it intentional overdose in 2016, where he tried to commit suicide.
Right.
Through an ungodly amount of drugs, and it messed him up for months. And mom being the person that she is, she's like, oh, we got to get him help. We got to get him help. I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. We do. And then we packed him up and shipped him off to a psych ward where they said that they would be able to help him through all his addiction problems and, try to get down to the root of the problem in general. And then he told me the biggest problem that he had being there and what finally made him break was the fact that he was away from us. He was away from family for so long, for months, and I wasn't allowed to call him. I was allowed no contact with him whatsoever. And, mom got a phone call like every couple days to make sure that, he was okay and talk to him for a couple seconds and that's it.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I don't really understand that part.
I don't know if that's the norm.
Well, I don't necessarily think it is either.
Yeah. I mean, I've never worked in an actual psych hospital, but I've worked in many mental health residential treatment centers, and that's not the norm. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to refer to my mom as their mom too.
Yeah.
Aww.
But yeah.
Well, your mother must have had a great impact on a lot of people in here and a lot of your friends, and I think that's a great thing.
Yeah,
it's a great thing.
A lot of it was like, hey, they were missing that figure too, and mom stepped up and was like, I could be that figure. I had a really good friend when I was in high school, that we became really good friends in high school. I knew him beforehand, but his mom and my mom were the best of friends growing up, and unfortunately, she passed away of breast cancer when I was in high school, and for some reason, my buddy didn't want to live with his dad. Didn't want to say anything about what was going on or anything like that. We found out later, but he didn't want to say anything about, he's doing this or that, or, he's just an asshole in general. But mom was like, hey, just go there, pack up all your shit and get in the house. We'll make a space for you. It's fine. He lived with us for 2 years in high school.
Yeah.
How's your brother now? I mean, I know you mentioned the attempted, the
Yeah.
intentional overdose, yada yada. But how is he now?
Well, he settled down with a girl that he thought was the girl of his dreams. Of course, you know that story.
Right.
And they ended up found out that she was pregnant. And of course, in the back of your mind, the first thing you think as you're, you know, the older brother, you're like, oh shit, here we go. Like, what is going to happen now? And it something clicked, and he was like, I can't be my dad. I can't do that. I can't be that person. And he did a complete 180.
Good.
He's more like me now, except he has even less of a filter than I do.
Well, I'm glad he's doing well.
Yeah. Oh, he's doing extremely well now.
It's good.
He's got his head on straight. He's taking care of 2 kids. He's a single dad, taking care of 2 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. He is the staple of what we didn't know as a father.
Right. That's kind of the beauty of humanity. I think that's like the perfect example of how we should be treating each other. It's
Right.
your mother, you know.
Right.
It's like when she goes through those lengths of making people feel at home, of
Right.
you know, being there for someone and giving them a roof over their head,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and feed them. It's just kind of shows like how big of an impact one person can have on a community.
Yeah,
You know, beautiful thing.
my mom is kind of a hard ass sometimes.
Sure.
She's all of like 5'3", like 120 pounds, and she scares the ever living shit out of me now.
Oh, those are the toughest ones, man. Those are the toughest
And
ones.
The second that she uses my middle name, I know it's over. You know? And it's like, holy crap.
For me, my mom says my name in Chinese, and then I know it's over. When she yells my name in Chinese, I'm like, fuck.
But no, mom kind of had there. To me, I see this in, you know, my kid. It's like there's different unconventional ways of raising a kid, and I see it a lot in, you know, I say my kid, it's my girlfriend's daughter, but it's like you respond to certain things, and you always find out what a kid responds to in any kind of way, regardless of what problems they're going through. You know, like if she has a hard time paying attention, or she doesn't respond to like any kind of punishment whatsoever, like, hey, you're grounded, she'll go, okay, whatever, you know. But you find out exactly what bothers her, and the minute it clicks, it's like, okay, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not a good idea.
Right.
You know, my mom she didn't necessarily scare me when I was a kid. That was my stepdad that scared the shit out of me until I grew up, and yeah, I got bigger. But it was my mom embarrassed the shit out of me so bad sometimes that it's like, okay, I know not to screw up now, because you're going to do nothing but embarrass me, and that's not something I want. You know, or she would literally scare the crap out of me.
Right.
Oh my God, she scared I'm not talking like, oh, I'm going to beat you. I'm talking like, I'm going to dress up like a werewolf and hide under the basement steps and ask you to come down here. You know, that she was that person. Or
right.
she was notorious for blaring old school R&B lovemaking music out of the car when she dropped me off for school.
Oh God.
So I would have to listen to Keith Sweat and Boyz II Men, which are 2 of my favorite artists now, but at full volume, and she would roll all the windows down and sing in the middle of the parking lot. And then when I get home, she'd go, okay, well, I suggest you bring that math score up, or you're going to get that again. And I'm like, oh God. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. You know, you like I said, mom, I knew the way that she was, you know, and I know the way that she is now. She can be a hard ass, but she's, you know, the nicest person on the planet.
Right.
Like she'll tell you what you did wrong and then give you food and
Sure.
tell you that you'll get through it and it'll be fine. You know? Yeah, it's hats off to her, man.
Yeah. So if you ever came across like a kid who was going through the same thing, what kind of advice would you give them?
Find out where your home is and cling to it. To be honest, it's to me, I knew that my home wasn't with my dad. It wasn't with my stepdad. My home was with my friends and with my uncles. You know, and it's like, I know, you find out what what people or the people around you that have your best interest at heart, and you know that for sure, and stick with it. There should be no reason why you and your best friend for however many years ever go to bed angry at each other. That was my grandma that's always said that. Never, if you're close to somebody, never go to bed angry at them. Always forgive them for everything that they've done, and then move on and move forward.
Yeah, that's great advice. Very, very good advice.
So find your family and make your own family, basically, is kind of, it sounds like
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That sounds like some Fast and the Furious shit, but yeah.
I don't get that reference, but I'm sure it is. That sounds good. I've never seen those movies, but
yeah, it's blood. People say blood is thicker than water, but realistically, I have really good friends that I consider my brothers more than anything, you know. And like you said, I find it a little weird that a lot of people that you know have the same mindset that I do. Typically, they're closed off and they don't really get other people in or try to bring other people into this circle. But I'm all about it. You know what I mean? I don't. Right. I'm still to this day trying to figure out what that is that does that. That it's like, okay, well, this guy seems cool. Like, you know, you want to see my Pokemon card collection?
Could it be because you understand the value of having a strong community, of having a strong family, a big, strong family? Do you think it's because you understand the value of that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. It's having the amount of people around me that I had, no matter how big or small the group was at one time, it's you can't deny true friendship at all. And people that, you know, like I said, it seems like a lot of us, especially in my small group of friends, that once one of us falls, all the rest of us bring that person up, and then another one falls, and it's like, okay, well, let's bring that person up.
Right.
You know, like Angel of Wrath was in the Army, and I knew we had a lot of work to do with him when he got back to make sure that he was okay.
Right.
You know, and you know, with Sidian and the problems that he had growing up, it's like, okay, I know it was weird because I feel like my mom kind of pointed out at a certain point in time, because I would constantly be like during the summer, I would say, is it okay if I go stay with AJ for a week? And she'll go, okay, that's a really weird request, but okay. You want to tell me why? I'm like, I don't think he's doing that well. And she'll say, yeah, just grab some clothes. I'll run you out there real quick. He lived out in BFE with like no internet, which sucked. Right. But, you know, what can you do? You just Super Nintendo all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what do you do to take care of yourself?
I get a lot of shit for this from my friends. Apparently not enough. You know, I stream and I have fun, and, you know, I get to play games and stuff like that. I learned a long time ago as a kid, a lot of people call it an addiction, but I call it more like a means of escape. Mm-hmm. I used video games a lot to like, hey, I know this event happened at this time. I know I can tell you exactly what game I was playing at that time. You know, whether it was World Series Baseball in '95, you know, or, you know, Mega Man, the shitty Mega Man version that came out on PlayStation 1, the RPG version. You know, I always have something associated, like some game associated with something bad that happened. And it's like, okay, I need to get away for a while. I'm going to play this game, and then get away for a while, and then get back into life. You know, after, you know, a couple hours of playing or whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm good. And then just go back to normal.
Right.
Yeah.
You got a lot of people who care about you. You got a lot of people, you know, they're trying to get him to for years.
Yeah. That's a problem. Like Angel of Wrath will call me all the time and say, he actually did it not that long ago. It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now. He's like, hey man, when's the last time you did something for yourself? I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like, I think you need to do something for yourself. I took a week off of work, and the amount of naps that I took was astounding.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, I just kind of chilled and, you know, streamed and, you know, made sure the kiddo get off to school and then home from school, things like that.
Right.
There's something to that though, Sidian. Like he's saying, one of the ways that you care for yourself is by caring for others.
Exactly.
And there is something to that. Like in DBT, one of the distress tolerance skills that they teach is contributing. I don't remember the whole acronym that's a part of. but it's contributing. And like there is a thing about, you know, when you do nice things for others, it makes you feel good about yourself. It can improve your mood. So there is something to that.
Yeah, there's always those memes online like, hey, yeah, sex is good, but have you ever tried to do this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw one of those today, and like that's just what it reminds me of. It was like, hey, this is good, but have you ever like really changed somebody's life for the better when you rate out to them with 50 people randomly? You ever see the look on their face when that happens when you donate $100 to just some person you don't know?
Right.
Like, yeah, it's great, man. You get a lot out of it. You know, you really bring joy into other people's lives. It's like I feel like a lot of it is like I always say, I don't live for me. I live to make sure the ones around me are okay. You know what I mean?
True, but there's the whole like oxygen mask analogy on airplanes, right? Like
Yeah.
when the mask comes down, you put it on yourself first before you help others. Because if you
Right.
if you keel over, you ain't gonna be able to help other people, right?
Right. Yeah, it's stressful sometimes, but like I said, man, I'm a simple dude, you know. You give me, you know, a couple cans of Mountain Dew and put me in front of a video game, I'm good to go for a little while.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need anything really. I just need to, like, I really don't. That's the biggest thing. It's like I'll go 5 years without buying a pair of shoes for myself. Those are the same shoes for like 5 years, and they're like falling apart and shit. And it's like, okay, well, no, I'm good. Like they still walk right?
Yeah.
I don't need anything.
So why is chat saying you're always maxed out stress wise?
I am always maxed out stress wise.
Okay.
Those the guys that are in chat are like the part of the SideQuesters group. It's like I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier where it's like, okay, you wake up at 4, you're not going to bed till 10, and you're go until that, you know, till you fall asleep. And even when you sleep, probably not that good because you have the whole day waiting on you. You know what I mean? And that kind of builds up after a while.
Sure.
So it does sound
But
like
yeah,
you need some like stress management kind of.
Oh yeah,
going on
I
in your
definitely
life.
do. But to me, it's like a lot of times it's like I'm streaming and I'm playing games and chilling, and it's like to me that's really my stress relief. More than anything.
I can totally relate. There's nothing. Well, I don't want to say that. I'll say there's nothing more than I love. But like a big stress relief for me is clicking on heads, man. Like even though half the time I'm yelling and screaming at Siege, the other half of the time it's just cathartic. Something about going in there and just like, you know, clicking on heads. That feels good.
Yeah, that's dad gaming right there. That like we had that conversation a while ago when we started the Discord. It's like, let's take this away to help people. You know what I mean? And the biggest part about the Discord is like, I understand that, like Color Proof, you said it. It's like everybody has their own life to live, and you can't really judge what somebody's going through at any time. So it's like I've had people that it's like, okay, I want to help this person. I know the look on their face and how they felt whenever I first came in. I'm going to come in and check on them every once in a while, you know, and make sure that people know that they're alive or whatever I have to do, help them hit affiliate or, you know, it don't even have to be somebody I know. Like it could just be like, hey, like I have a friend, and I'm like, you don't have to say anymore. Just give me a link. I'm good to go, you know? And then like, I know life happens for everybody, and I'm never going to be like, hey, where did this person go? I don't talk to them anymore. I don't really see them anymore. I know that they're around, but they either stop streaming. I know streaming is not for everybody. And it's like any kind of thing where it's like somebody's going to pick it up and go for a week. And then they're like, oh, it's not for me. I get that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But it's like, I know like the community is kind of downsized to like a core group of people again. And I'd like to build it back up to where it was. Just try to get more people in to be like, hey, let's help this person. Let's help this person. Because we all have those people, you know, like Don, you play with guys that it's okay, I don't know who these guys are. But the second that I see a Twitter post, it's like, okay, Legion's affiliate by Saturday, you know, or, hey, have you heard of this guy called Mopsky? No, tell me a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, hey, there you go. You know,
you do have a good memory for names. You really do.
Yeah,
I'm impressed that you remember Mopsky, and yeah, you do. You have a good memory for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while either.
He got really busy. He had lots of life transitions, like moving out, getting his own place. I think
he was doing art there for a while too.
Yeah, so I think he just kind of. I mean, he's still around, but now he's sucked into 7 Days to Die. Is like the new thing that he's sucked into. So he's around and well. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's a little weird. The memory I have I call it the random bank of useless information. I think I literally have a bank of useless information that I can't forget. There's just certain things that stick with me. Like I heard a podcast one time about, there's a male cricket out in Africa that sinks itself to the bottom of a river and then drags its own penis across its rib to make mating calls.
All right.
I don't know why I know that, but I do. I heard it on a podcast one time, like 4 years ago, and now that like sticks with me. I don't know why that's a thing.
So a male cricket goes to the bottom of a lake?
A river. He literally sticks himself to the bottom of the river for his mating call, and he rubs his own genitals across his ribs, and it makes the mating call sound that they make, and instead of like the typical like rub the legs together and make the sound. Right. Yeah, that's what they do.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was a Stuff That Blows Your Mind podcast from like 2017.
I learn something new every day.
Yeah, me too.
Every day.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
It's gold.
Animal Kingdom has some fucked up shit. I will say that.
Yeah, it's shit. I've always had a really good memory, but for some reason, like I can't. I like my girlfriend can tell me one thing, and then the next day I'll be like, "What did you say yesterday?" And she'll be like, "Don't you remember I told you?" I'm like, "I got nothing." My short-term memory is terrible.
It's because your brain's full of cricket penises, is why.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Probably.
But I should really look into that.
Yeah. Man.
Does anybody have
it's weird
chat?
Yeah, it's also my mating call. That's
Go.
That's actually accurate.
He rubs his penis against his ribs.
Yeah.
But yeah, chat, if you have any questions for any of the three of us about anything, I mean, it could be related to past experiences, anything at all, you can put them in chat. We are reaching that segment of the podcast where we will take just straight questions, if anyone has any.
Wait, he's like me and others where he doesn't put himself forward in front of anything or anyone. For me, it's because I know I have self-values. For him, I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah, so why do you think it is that like you will bend over backwards to care for others but not do things for yourself? I guess is what the question is what they're trying to figure out.
Honestly, I think a lot of it is I know at the end of the day I'm going to come out okay regardless of the what happened. You know what I mean? Obviously, we live in a crazy time. Anything can happen from anybody. Right. People take their chances, and it's like I know the certain point where it's like maybe we should just both walk away from this. It's probably a good idea. You get that kind of like spidey sense about it. It's like I don't think that we should be involved in this. We need to leave. And typically when I say that, everybody knows. Okay, get in the car. We're getting the hell out of here. But no, I always know that like I feel like I can take a lot more punishment than most people, regardless of what somebody says or does, than what they can. And it's like, okay, so about the cricket penis. Yeah, it's a real thing.
I believe you. Do you remember the name of said cricket?
No, but I'm literally about to look it up right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm going to look it up too. I don't know how to look this up. Cricket, penis, Africa, river?
Mating call? Maybe that's a keyword.
The first thing that shows up is parasite crawls into UK man's penis as he swims in an African river. I regret this already.
A tiny water bug that sings by rubbing its penis against its belly and has been dubbed the loudest animal on Earth. Relative to its body size in a French study of Scottish scientists. Yeah, it's called the singing cricket.
The singing cricket?
Yeah, they call it the singing penis. It's a water bug.
Singing penis. I'm gonna regret looking this up.
Oh god!
Don't look that up.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. Rubbing two body parts together to create a sound. Yeah, it's a real thing. it on its penis against his abdomen. Yeah, it's a real thing.
I mean, I believe it. There's all sorts of crazy shit in the animal kingdom that, like, yeah. I mean,
If you were able to have a penis,
Yeah,
that
I literally just typed in cricket rubs its penis. And that's the second one that came up. They call it the singing penis, the water bug. Yep. Yeah, these are the things that I can't. You can't unknow.
true.
But yeah, I mean,
don't
I
I'll
think
ever
Dad's
forget
right.
that.
You know, I think Dad's right. The small town people, you know, they look after each other.
It's-
Unfortunately, that you have the downside to that too, where the small town people, some of them. I mean, you take one step out of town here, you get into redneck country.
Oh, dude,
And they hate
I know
everybody.
I know all about that. Like, I grew up in a college town, but it was in the South, and where I went to college at, it was very middle of nowhere. Where I currently live is kind of middle of nowhere as well, and they do look out for you. I mean, it definitely, like, anytime. Yeah, I'll allow it. Anytime like it snows, I live up on a mountain, so like everyone comes out with their four-wheelers trying to help. Like, you know, we got our car stuck last winter, and like three guys came up on four-wheelers, like attached like some chains to our car, made sure our car got down the mountain safely. I mean, they come out. But on the flip side of that, I imagine if you didn't look like me and you got stuck up here, you may not be so comfortable.
Right.
Right.
That's why I was hesitant to go up to the neck of the woods the first time. I was like, I ended up going up there anyway.
Yeah.
And,
The
and
thing
you
is,
survived.
the thing is, no matter how different you think you are from somebody, you can always find common ground with somebody else.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no matter how different you are, we will find something in common.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's down to what video game we play, or, hey, do you have daddy issues too? You know, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's you'll always find something in common.
Right.
And I think people nowadays, they overlook that so fast because they're so concentrated on hate. It's not even funny. It's a real problem.
Absolutely.
Especially here. Yeah, here in Ohio, I mean, dude, people hate each other so quick over something stupid. I mean, I've literally seen full-blown fights break out because of Ohio State and Michigan. It's like, you guys do realize that's just football, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I don't like people from Michigan. No. Yeah. I don't understand it. People completely forget the fact that we're all humans. We're all put here, you know, under the same aspect as everybody else. You know, we're not different.
No.
We're not. You can always find common ground with somebody.
I mean, all civilization came out of the same area, so we're really all, if you go back far enough, we're all related anyway. Not saying religiously, but I'm saying like the Fertile Crescent, you know, all life came out of Africa, that sort of, you know. I wasn't going into we're all related to Adam and Eve. I was just saying, like, if you go back far enough, you know, we're all pretty much,
Right. It's a little weird, you know, the Adam and Eve thing, you know, like I find one of my favorite recording artists nowadays is a rapper called Hobson. And he released a free, like, it's not really a freestyle track, but he did Ill Mind of Hobson 7, where he literally raps about his relationship with God and how he fell out of Christianity and how he got into it to begin with. And it's like, okay, even though I might not be a Christian, or however I view it, you know, I have my own views on things, but I can completely relate with what he's saying. I can tie that into some aspect in life, regardless of how you look at it. You know, and I really relate to a lot of his music because he just tells it how it is to begin with. Right. You know, and yeah, it's again, the weird thing with music is I remember all my song lyrics that I could hear a song like 3 times and remember all the song lyrics from it. I have a real memory problem. My buddy at work says that I have what is that called? Not ADHD. Shit. I can't think of what it's called now. CRS? What is that? Autism. That's what it is.
Yeah. Because
he's
you
constantly
have like
telling
a savant memory, so he's saying that you.
Yeah, like he'll say, we used to do this thing because we try to pass the time at work all the time, where he'll say, "Hey, if I give you a song, because I'm constantly singing. That's the weird thing about me at work. I sing all the time. But he'll say, if I give you a song, since you remember all these song lyrics that you've never heard before, do you think you can memorize the lyrics by the end of the day?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I bet I can do it in an hour." He'll give me some off the wall girl country singer, and like I've never heard before. Yeah, I memorized all the lyrics from it. And I really don't want to. I don't. Wish I don't. Wish I didn't. It's terrible. I'm a really good singer. I don't know about that. Maybe back in the day. Tom McDonald stuff. Yeah. Tom McDonald's a really good rapper too.
Is he that like white dude that has all those songs that are kind of like provocative, but like
Yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Between Tom McDonald's getting bigger now, and obviously Joyner Lucas is big. A lot of his music, I typically follow when it comes to like rappers or hip hop music, I'll follow the ones that actually have a message behind them instead of
Right.
like, "Hey, I have money, come look at this."
yeah.
Right.
I hate that. I hate that more than anything. Like, I love Eminem. I think he raps about real stuff back in the day. I listened to Eminem all the time when I was growing up. It's I relate to that heavily, like the ones that relay a message. And I mean, if there's a message behind it, you can't help but to not forget it.
Right.
But yeah, small town kid. That's about all it is, man.
Yeah. But yeah, if no one has anything else, I just want to make a quick announcement that Mind Games will be moving to the Phoenix Mental Health Twitch channel on October 7th. And that's where we're going to be launching. Yeah, that's where we're going to be launching. And if you guys want to give us a follow there, feel free. Our Twitter is going to be MH Phoenix. So if you guys want to give us a follow there as well.
That's my mom in the chat.
Oh, nice.
Aw.
Yeah, Kim Man.
Aw. Your son has spoken very highly of you. You seem like an amazing lady. I just gotta say, you seem like an amazing lady.
All right.
I am gonna put the link for the Phoenix in chat. Because coming up, like a Color was saying, Mind Games is gonna be moving over there. Also, I thought it'd be cool in the spirit of Brutu. Maybe we could raid someone while we have
Yeah,
while we have good viewership. Why is it not showing up? What did? Oh, there it is. I found it. Aha! I was about to say, what the damn hell? Okay, yeah. But yeah, unless anyone has any other questions, we're going to raid. Well, see, everyone I know is affiliate though, but still, it'd be nice. They'll appreciate it.
All right.
Does anyone have any other questions before I do this?
I'm good.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here, man. I feel like it was it's always good to hear other people's perspectives, and I feel like if anything, maybe this also showed some people who watching this that it's okay to speak out about what you've been through, and there's a real strength in owning that story and being able to get it out there.
Yeah, we want to normalize mental health, and the first thing and the number one thing we can do is just talk about it.
Hi, guess another one of my adopted sons. Mom, that's AJ. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate everyone coming in and Brutu for coming by. We'll be doing this again next week with another guest. It's always Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And if anyone just now is joining in, this video will be up on YouTube in a couple days, and I'll tweet out when the video goes live.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming. We are about to raid my good friend, ATL Canadian. Any last words, folks, before I do this?
Have a wonderful
Love
night.
each other.
Yes, love each other.
Love each other.
One another.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. And if you like Rainbow Six Siege, definitely check out the dude we're raiding. Fun-loving Canadian.
Oh, I'm about to bomb this chat. Oh, no, sub-only chat.
Oh, is it
Oh,
sub only?
no.
That is
Oh,
such
no.
a disaster, bro. I'm gonna give him so much shit for that.
Yeah.
Actually, I have my free sub. I'm gonna tell him to take it off of sub only chat.
Oh, jeez.
I just did the free sub. What the damn? There we go. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I see that. They want to talk to you. Take it off. Sub only, sir.